you've been given a really good foundation if you've watched what Brian has laid out so far. Having your offer and your pricing and everything ready to go is great. Having an offer that you know is something that you're going to want to deliver to people and not get sick of is a really strong place to start. Sometimes we build things and we create them and we think this is what I want to do. And then we get there, it's not what we thought it was going to be. But once you've really got that dialed in, one of the most common things I see when people come to me as a launch consultant and basically I work as a independent marketing consultant. People come to me and say, I've got this great offer. I want to sell it. Here's what it is. Can you help me launch it? And oftentimes I look at it and I say, okay, this is great. You made a great product here. What is your email list, or who is your audience, or what is your platform? Basically, it's that Field of Dreams problem. If you've never seen that movie, it's, there's that famous saying, if you build it, they will come. And that's what we often think of when we create a business or an online offer or something like that is, well, if we make it, people are going to know about it and it'll just sell itself, right? False. So it is so key to have an audience then to sell your offer to. But the question is, how do you get there? So that's a lot of what I want to talk about today is once you've got your offer, how to create a way of drawing people to it in a way that makes sure that you're attracting the right people and with the right messaging. And so basically, I'm going to be checking my notes from time to time, so don't mind me. And I won't just be talking direct to camera. I'll also be bringing up my dry erase board. So you have some visuals, but essentially there are going to be three major components of selling your offer. So number one, you need to have some sort of a platform. So if you've been following Brian a while, his platform is his podcast, and that has an audio and a video component to it. And then that's like his core platform. But then there might be other sub platforms such as social media, where he may promote that vehicle, that modality. For some people, social media is their platform, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can use it as a place to publish videos, post tutorials. You can have a Facebook group where it's just your place to keep bringing and attracting in people and just nurturing and adding value to them. So the platform is one of those key elements. The second key element is once you've got that platform, it's really then having a way to draw people into your world in a more permanent way. And I say a permanent way because social media and different platforms, they can be fickle. They can come and go. I mean, you may or may not remember Periscope. You may or may not remember MySpace. There are things that just come up and go. Even I look at the rise of Clubhouse, so popular. Everybody was like, this is going to be the big thing. And then many of us struggled to figure out how we could, capitalize on it. And many of us got burnt out by it and just decided, you know what, this is a huge time vampire. And so the initial spike, I think, has sort of wound down a little bit. Some people who are really tied to it, that's their platform. Great. They're still going strong. But a lot of the masses have said, never mind, I'm going to go back to something traditional. So you need to get people into a place where you own it. You own the space. It's your world. And that is your email list. It is your number one most valuable business building asset, because if Facebook someday goes away, or Facebook ads don't work, or Instagram algorithm changes and you lose a bunch of followers, something like that, you will always have your list of people that trust you enough to be in your world, to hear from you, and have given over their email in exchange for some kind of a lead magnet. That's the key to drawing them. And a lead magnet is simply just what is called the ethical bribe in the marketing world. And there can be so many different modalities, which I will talk about in a moment. So one thing is you need that platform. The second thing is you need a way to draw people to your platform to have the third thing, which is the email list in which you are nurturing, informing, entertaining, and building the type of trust that you need to build with people to get them to hand over their hard-earned money with you. So let's go back a step and let's just talk about, how do you choose your platform? And you know what? I want to draw this out a little bit, this map. So let me just bring this up here. So the first thing is, you've got your offer. We'll just put this, let's make this green. So the offer, let's just kind of make a little dollar here. Okay. This is where we want to get to. Oh, you can't see that. Let's get on screen here. So we've got our offer. And at the front end, you got to create awareness for who your brand, your business, your content, your area of expertise. And that's going to be done through, let's draw a little megaphone, the platform you choose, right? Now, we need to bridge this gap right here. And the way we do this is drawing people with what I call your golden lead magnet into, this is a funnel, sorry for the crude drawing, into a funnel so that you can have ongoing email conversations that can drive them back here. So it's kind of a little bit of a back and forth that happens. And so the key here is we want to figure out, okay, how do you choose your platform? And there are a lot of considerations to have here. One is, where are the fish? If you're out fishing, you don't want to just fish in a spot where no fish are. It's the same thing with your offer. If you are trying to land the ideal client and customer for your product, you don't want to just say, well, I really like Instagram, if none of your clients are ever on Instagram, or I'm going to use Twitter and it turns out nobody is there, right? So you do have to go where the fish are. The second thing to consider is you want to go with your strengths. So if you're somebody who is uncomfortable with camera, and you can become comfortable with camera. If you're somebody who is uncomfortable though, you may not want to use, say, YouTube, something like that. However, if you're somebody who enjoys the camera, enjoys talking to people like this, like I enjoy this, I'm very comfortable right now, just kind of off the top of my head talking to you, even with just some notes here, it's natural for me. So my platform of choice is and has been YouTube. For some of you, maybe that's a podcast. So think about where your strengths lie. Think about where the fish are. The other part of that is you want to really, go with like also what kind of strengths do you have as far as storytelling, your voice, or maybe do you have the interviewing skills? Can you gain the interview skills for something like a podcast or something like that? And just choose one, master it, and try not to add anything else to that until you really got that dialed in. You don't need to be everywhere. If you see a lot of the big names in the marketing and business world who are showing up everywhere, chances are they've got a team of people who are helping them do just that. So beyond that, so we've talked about, this one component. Another key is being consistent. You can't just create some posts, shotgun smatter some things out there and expect that people are just going to know about you magically and that's that. You want to pick something that you are able to do consistently. So you want to go with, again, where your strength and your energy is. If you feel like, for instance, YouTube takes a little bit of work. There's the filming and coming up with ideas. There is the actual behind the scenes uploading and creating thumbnails. And there's all these different technical things that go into learning how to be searchable on the algorithm, right? So if your energy isn't, well spent with things that are technical, you either hire that out or you just don't do something like that because that's not where your energy is. You might not be able to continue to do that consistently week after week. So for some, podcasting is a great way to go. For some, putting out content on some other platform is the way they're going to go. It's all about what can you do consistently. And it doesn't mean you never miss a week, but for the most part, you're not just doing it here and there, hoping for the best, doing a little bit here and there. It is largely week by week by week, or whatever your publishing schedule is. Now, with that, it is important that your content is in alignment with the topics that are in your offer. And one of the best ways you do that is actually kind of reverse engineer this whole process, which brings us to our next thing, which is the lead magnet. Your offer should be aligned with your lead magnet, and your content topics should be aligned with your lead magnet as well, so that everything is in perfect alignment. A lot of times these days, what I see, I'll give you an example. I'll tell you a little story. I was learning how to grow my audience on Instagram. And I need to know how to do it using hashtags, because that's a component of people finding you and attracting people that would be interested in topics that I talk about. So I needed to know, how do I research those hashtags? And I didn't know how to do this. I went on Google, tried to find a lot of examples of how this is done. And what I found was there was a lot of advice out there that didn't quite it didn't quite give me a result right away. First of all, I got a PDF and it would be like, here you go, this is the information. But then I watched a video on it. I saw somebody walk me through it. Bam, I got the result. And what was great about that is their offer was in direct alignment. And so the next step was, okay, you have your hashtags. Now what? Now you need to know how to run a business using Instagram as your growth strategy. I have a course on exactly that. So I bought it. Perfect alignment. Whereas some of the people with PDFs, after I got that initial PDF, they're like, oh, by the way, I am a social media person. I can help you with this and that and the other thing. And that's their offer. And it was sort of an alignment, but not a direct result alignment from the thing that I'd accomplished. And so there was a bit of a misalignment between lead magnet and offer. And so that is one of the really key things. So aligning your freebie to your offer and your ongoing content to the expertise that's offered in your freebie and your offer. Freebie, lead magnet, I will use these phrases interchangeably. So if that's confusing, that's what that is. So let me just check my notes and move forward so I'm not missing something. One thing to note, when you're creating when you're creating content, it's key that you're always creating some kind of value. Sometimes it might be inspiration. Sometimes it might be a slice of life, behind the scenes type thing. But what you want to avoid being in the habit of is, I see this a lot, people build a Facebook business page and it's just posts with a promotion or a coupon, another thing, I'm selling this, I'm selling that. Social media is meant to be a social tool. And so if that is your platform of choice, be sure that you are not just being promotional, not just selling, not just talking about your offers all the time, but giving tutorial content or entertaining content or something that is going to help make a difference in people's lives. And I'll talk a little bit about how to kind of pick those topics in a second. So the key again is moving people from your content into your net, into your world, through your funnels. And so the reason for that is, again, not just the fact that social media can come and go, but also on social media, the content is designed to keep you on those pages. And they have very excellent algorithms, each of these social media tools, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, etc., for keeping you on their page by either giving you more of what you've been watching or more of what somebody else created. And so what you want to do is you want to bring the conversation back into your world through email and move people to what you want them to watch. And so that way you're kind of cutting out the middleman and avoiding those distractions that people can get into. Now, an email list, sorry, let me just check something here because I just realized. Okay, I didn't want to cover something I said twice. So you might be thinking, okay, well, what the heck is a lead magnet? What can that be? So it really depends on what your offer is. It depends on what your business is. If you are, let's say, somebody who teaches meditation, perhaps that is just a series of like 3 quick free audio meditations to give people a sample of what your meditations are like. Or if you're a one-on-one consultant like myself, or you sell digital courses like myself, the best vehicle is going to be some kind of thing where people see and hear from you, because that translates perfectly. Whereas, a PDF that might have, a little guide or something like that might be easy to make, but might not translate as well into getting people to know and trust you and see what your style is like and what your expertise is like and what you're like as a person. So that is the number one thing I recommend. But for many people, if you're just beginning, that might be a little overwhelming. So it is okay to create just like a simple PDF guide or something like that. It could be, 3 steps to XYZ, something like that. You want to think about what is something that is aligned with my offer, but solves a burning pain that my ideal client might have. The reason in which they might be the thing they might be searching for on Google that they don't realize it yet, but I have a paid solution that's going to help them with that thing. And what happens a lot of times is a lot of people are Googling something that they think is going to solve their problem. And it's the most immediate thing that they're going to try and solve. But really, there's a much bigger thing behind the scenes that they just don't realize is the real problem. And that's where your offer can come in and be the full solution. But you want to meet them at that need where they think that's the problem. Give them some value, solve that problem, and then educate them to say, but hey, that's not all there is. If you want to solve this for good, that's why I have this solution for you. That's why I have this offer. Kind of going back to my example of the story of the hashtag thing. I thought, well, I want to build my business on Instagram. I want to grow a following so that I can start using it as a business tool. I need to know hashtags. That was the immediate entry point. But what was the behind the scenes real problem that I had? It was I just didn't even know what I didn't know about just using it as a tool ultimately to attract other followers and gain one-on-one and group coaching clients. And so that person knew that I was searching here, but the bigger picture was they needed to deliver a solution that could solve the whole thing, which was the whole system of using it as a business tool. So think in that way when you're trying to figure out the topic for your lead magnet and making sure it's aligned. So, if your offer is something like, here's an example that you can think of, like if your example is the 30-day pre-baby body bounce back fitness package. This is, maybe it's geared towards women who, they were really fit and then they had a baby and then they're just really feeling like, oh, I just want to get back to that pre-baby fitness I had. And that's specifically your niche. That's your target. That's who you help. You've been there. You've had that example. You might take, you might have this entire fitness package, this entire system for how they're going to get there, but you might take a small part of it and just give them a sampling of that. And one way you could do that is maybe it's, a little meal plan, how to quickly shed 5 to 10 pounds. That also provides nutrition to the newborn, something like that. Think about some small thing that you can give them that's an immediate, quick win that's going to get them results, and then educate them a little more and say, okay, now that you've got this, you're actually going to need to know how to do this other thing. And you have to figure out what is that other missing piece of the puzzle that is underlying that, your offer is poised to give. One mistake I often see is, I see this a lot, and you've probably seen the same thing, is you go to a site for some kind of consultant or product or something like that, and it says, sign up for the latest tips and tricks, or sign up for our newsletter. However, going back to this example, this made up example of, the woman who's wanting to get back in shape. She is not on Google going, how to get back in shape after having a baby newsletter. Nobody wants a newsletter. They're also not typing in, regain my pre-baby physique tips and tricks. They don't want tips and tricks. They don't know what these tips or tricks are. It's too vague. It's not a specific outcome. So if you do offer something like this already, and a lot of businesses and a lot of entrepreneurs do, spell out what those tips and tricks are. So I'll give you an example from a client I had once before. She worked in the telehealth medicine field, and she taught doctors how to quickly set up a telehealth practice. And this was a thing that was in high demand during COVID because, face-to-face visits were not common and in most places unavailable. So they were quickly scrambling to figure out how to do this and how to bill and all these things. I said, what are the tips and tricks you're actually offering in your newsletter? Let's not say newsletter tips and tricks. She goes, oh, in the first newsletter, I tell them the exact CPT codes. These are the codes you need to make sure that when you're submitting the claim to insurance, it gets properly processed so that you get paid from the insurance company. That is a burning pain thing that doctor or that receptionist or whoever is trying to get telehealth going is looking for. And again, it's the entry point. And the final full solution is, well, what do you want totally? You want a whole telehealth practice that works and gets you paid. And you want to, cut out all the confusion. That's where her offers and services and her consulting came into place. There were other examples like this. So we just bullet pointed those. You're going to learn the exact CPT codes. You're going to learn, the only 3 telehealth systems that you need to look at. There are which one to choose, which one is right for your business. So you're basically, giving them what those results, what those benefits will be, not saying something vague like tips, tricks, or newsletters. Now, it of course can be delivered through the modality of your ongoing nurturing newsletter. That is okay. The key here is just letting them know what's in it for them. They can't possibly guess or know what those tips and tricks or newsletters are going to be about. So you might as well just let them know before they get in and sign up for it. Okay, I'm off my soapbox for that. Let me just check in on my notes here. So again, it's just that key of knowing the burning pain and the immediate need, solving in a way that's aligned with your offer. And I have a criteria that I use actually for choosing the topic of what your lead magnet can be. And again, your lead magnet is tied to an offer. You may have several offers. Don't get hung up on the fact that it has to fit all of your offers. You just want one that's tied to one of your offers. You can later create more that are tied to the other offers. But for now, start simple, start with one. And so here are those simple criteria. Number one, you want it to be, of course, as I said, aligned with your offer. Number two, one way you can look at it is how can it prime them to take the next step to then buy my offer or service? And one way you could look at that is, what is something that they need to know or do first before they can be ready to work with you? And perhaps there's something that you don't want to have a service, a paid service or anything like that. You don't want to teach them. You don't want to provide that step in a paid way. It's just not part of your system. But you want to make sure that they have that in place and they're ready to go to talk to you or to buy your product or to buy your offer. An example for me would be, as a course launch consultant, people come to me with a digital course and, as I said before, they don't always have an audience to sell it to. So I created a lead magnet that taught them how to create their own lead magnet to start building their email list so that they'll have that in place before they even talk to me. That way, they've basically understood that they need this. They understand how to go about it. And now they've got that in place. And when they're ready to work with me, that's there to go, ready to go. So it's primed them and pre-qualified them to work with me. Another thing is that it closes the loop on a problem that's that burning pain, that immediate need. And in doing so, it opens the loop on a next level problem or a good to have problem. So going again back to that story of the hashtags thing, I solved that problem thanks to that training I watched. I now knew how to research the hashtags. What I didn't know was, well, what the heck do I do with them now? And how do I, now I got followers coming to me and I start building an audience. Well, now what, right? So that's where that product came in. It opened the loop. It put me in a new problem category, which was good to have problems. So that is another criteria. Now, let me just check my notes again. I do teach, as I mentioned, an entire system for how to pick that topic, how to outline it, how to deliver it. Again, I call it my golden lead magnet, and it's something that Brian can give you a link to later on my website. But it's something that's going to help you at least start to think about the right way to do that. But that said, once you have that in place, once your subscribers have been through your lead magnet, and they've been given some kind of quick value, they are so much more likely to trust you. They see your expertise, so they see you as the authority. And if your lead magnet now is aligned with your offer and they've got this new good to have problem, they are positioned to benefit from your paid offer. So that is a lot that I just threw at you. But again, it is kind of this middle step of how to go from the platform and bridge that gap to your offer. And so the only missing component there is, of course, you need to have a few things in place. You'll need to have some kind of way of collecting those emails, maybe a landing page, things like that. But I didn't want to get too caught up in the weeds of the technical. It's really important just understand the what and the why. So I don't know if Brian has anybody that's going to help you with that at all, but I welcome a conversation anytime. You can always hit me up online. I'm Glenn Allen. You can find me on Facebook and just ask me questions. But that is essentially, in a nutshell, the key to moving people from a platform into your offer and building that audience so that you have an audience that is pre-qualified, ready to buy, and you're not just attracting freebie seekers. All right, Brian, I am going to turn it back over to you and see if you've got any follow-up questions or anything like that.
Awesome. That was amazing, man. Amazing stuff. So there are two questions. First one is this: in this scenario, how do you figure out why your lead magnet isn't working? I guess that's like, if it's not converting, is it traffic? Is it you? Is it the words you put on there? Or is it like what you're selling, what your lead magnet is not convincing enough? Those kind of things.
That's a great question. It might be that you've picked something that people just aren't interested in learning about. Yeah, I have seen that in the past. It may also just be the way in which you're positioning it isn't clear what that outcome is going to be. The messaging around the value of what you're giving should never be about its quantity, or, avoid things like its features, like it has 10 pages and 3 hours of video content, things like that. You will lose people immediately because they're going to go, oh gosh, this sounds like work. That's why ebooks are no longer popular. Ebooks are becoming less and less a thing. People are still putting out ebooks, but it's the way they're positioning them. They're not always called an ebook. It's called a quick start guide. It's called that kind of thing, right?
Right.
But the word ebook itself, I'm not saying don't make an ebook. I'm saying the word ebook sounds like work.
Okay.
And so a lot of it is positioning the benefits, not the features of it, and making it clear, like, this is what you'll know, have, be, feel, do after you've gone through this. That's what's really critical. Is it's not, it's going to take this amount of, or it's got this much information, it's loaded with that. In fact, the more you try to communicate that it's high value by talking about how much stuff is packed into it, the more overwhelmed people get, because it doesn't sound like a quick, simple solution.
Awesome. Okay. I love that. And the next question is, what is the easiest headline to use if you're not good with copywriting?
Oh, okay. So there are copywriting formulas you can use. And one of my favorites is this: your desire, whatever that your ideal client's desire, in amount of time, without X, Y, and Z. Or even if you've never X, Y, Z. So an example of that might be, well, let me think of one off the top of my head. So like I like fitness because it's easy to think of, right? Like lose 15 pounds in 7 days without going to the gym, changing your meal plan or changing your diet, and then something else. And those X, Y, and Z's, those are things that people have tried and failed at, are sick of doing, or are afraid to do.
Yeah. That's great, man. We probably should have put that on a PDF somewhere. That's
yeah,
perfect.
It's their desire their desire in frame of time. It doesn't always have to be frame of time, but that is a helpful little add-on, without X, Y, and Z. Great stuff.
So again, tell them where they can find you after all this is said and done.
Well, the free training I mentioned is at theglennallenshow.com/GLM, meaning Golden Lead Magnet, GLM. Otherwise, I am fairly active from time to time. I'm not as consistent as it used to be, but I've got my YouTube channel, The Glenn Allen Show. And otherwise, I am on all the social, because I've been at this for a few years. I'm at the point where I tell everybody, don't be on multiple social media platforms, but I am, because I can manage it.
Awesome stuff. Everybody, that's great. Now you know how to put together your lead magnet. And you know what? How long do you think it should take to do something like this? Just for people.
It depends on your vehicle for it. So, you can do like, it depends also on your talents. Some people are really good at creating, a quick PDF in Canva or something like that. If you're going the video route, which I highly, highly recommend, I do like 3 dripped out, super short step one, step two, step three videos that you can deliver over 3 different days. And, you don't need to make it fancy video. It doesn't have to have graphics and, transitions. It can be on your phone. It's just about getting people the content in a quick win. I'd say take a week to 2 weeks to really plan this out and make it happen. Don't overthink it, but do make sure that it's at least well thought out in a way in which it aligns with what you ultimately want to sell.
That's great. I've never heard anybody say take 1 or 2 weeks to figure it out. I think most people were like, oh, you can do it in a day.
You can't do it in a day. I don't even want to lie. It's important. It's something that can last you a really long time. I mean, once I was creating lots of different lead magnets, and I just didn't know, like, let's do one on this, and it would attract the wrong people. They were, once I did one on live streaming and I ran ads to it, and it actually attracted a bunch of videographers, and I wasn't going to work with videographers. So I had but bad leads, right? So you gotta be careful about, who is it actually attracting and how close is it to what you're offering and who you want to attract to that offer. Once I got this current lead magnet that I have dialed in, it was like I could move forward so much faster because I had a clear path to how do I get people from my platform to my offers. And once you do that, you can talk about things like you can go out to, I didn't mention this in the training, you can start leveraging other people's audiences, other people's platforms, their podcasts, their Facebook groups. You can, volunteer to be a live coach or a live trainer and give a live teaching to their group and add value to them. And you'll gain a new audience that will become aware of your offers and your freebies.
Yeah, great stuff. Awesome, man. A great way to finish off day 7, Mr. Glenn Allen. Amazing stuff, my friend. Amazing stuff. Tomorrow is day 8, and I have forgotten who's on day. Oh no, yes, I know who's on day 8. We have tomorrow. Martha Krejci is on tomorrow. And Mr. Shay Brown is on tomorrow, and we're talking about success, how to use your offer or take your offer from the success of your past, and basically how to sell your offer from live events. So the easiest way to sell your offer from different unique ways with Shay Brown. We're going to go over all those things tomorrow. So that's it for that. Everybody, check out Glenn Allen. He's the man. Yeah, especially if I forgot you do courses. the course man. Absolutely. So check him out. He is amazing, and great way to finish off today. So take care. We'll see you tomorrow. Same chain, about same times. All right. Take care. Goodbye.